When Charlie Kirk died, I noticed something. Not just the headlines, not just the outrage or the celebration, but a phrase. A phrase that kept showing up, over and over. From people on both sides, from those who mourned him, and even from those who never liked him. 7 words. 7 words that seem small, but reveal something bigger about the way that we grieve. Those words? I did not agree with him, but...
The university saying in a statement that shots were fired at an event with the conservative activist Charlie Kirk, along with reports that Kirk was actually shot in the neck. The school adding that Kirk was 20 minutes into speaking when they heard those shots being fired from a nearby building. Utah Center.
Now, let me be clear. I know the irony here. You're watching this on a social platform. The same feed that I'm critiquing is the one that brought you here. And before you get worked up, let me be clear. This has nothing to do with my opinion of Charlie Kirk. I don't care if you agreed with him or not. That's not the point. If you get angry because you think I'm siding with him, or angry because you think I'm attacking him, you're not hearing me. I'm not picking a side. I'm not making a political statement. I'm observing the thing itself, and that's the tension we all live in. This little rectangle in your hand, it's where we work, where we laugh, where we mourn. It connects us, but it also shapes us in ways we don't always see. So I'm not here to tell you to delete all your apps. I'm here to ask you to think, to notice, to step back long enough to wonder what this constant stream of opinions and reactions is actually doing to us. Because until we see it clearly, we'll keep mistaking it for normal. And it's not normal. It was never meant to be. I don't know if you've noticed this in yourself, but before I even form an opinion about a post that I see, I open the comments. I hear a song and I think, that's pretty good. Then I open the comments. Now I'm second guessing. I see a video I agree with, something that makes sense to me. Then I open the comments. Oh, we're mad at this. It's like my opinion isn't finished until I check what everyone else thinks. Like the comments section has become the last line of editing on my own thoughts. And it's not just me. Psychologists call this social proof. The idea that if enough people react a certain way, we assume it must be the correct way. There are studies on this. In the famous Asch conformity experiment, people were shown lines of different lengths and asked which ones matched. When participants were alone, almost everyone got it right. But when they were in a group, and the group intentionally gave the wrong answer, more than a third of people went along with the crowd. Even when their own eyes told them the truth, they chose the majority instead. I was once in a meeting pitching my work to a team. The boss sat there completely silent. I thought I'd lost him. Then, one by one, the team started sharing thoughts, asking questions, and leaning in. And at the very end, the boss spoke up and said he loved it. Later, I called him, and I asked if he loved it so much, why didn't you say anything? He told me if I speak first, everyone just agrees with me. I wait because I want their real opinions. And that works fine in a boardroom, that's leadership, but what happens when it's not one boss in the room? It's millions of strangers online. When the first comments you see are negative, suddenly the song you liked feels cringe. When the top reply is anger, suddenly the video you agreed with feels embarrassing. That same instinct to follow the room kicks in, except now, the room is infinite. And instead of checking with one leader who you actually know, we're letting anonymous comments and algorithms rewrite how we feel in real time. That's the danger. Social proof online doesn't just influence us, it colonizes us. It teaches us to wait for the crowd before we trust our own eyes. The idea is simple. If enough people react a certain way, we assume it must be the correct way. It's baked into us. But online, it's supercharged. Because now those voices aren't just your family or your neighbors or the people you trust. They're millions of strangers, all weighing in instantly, and the loudest voice rises to the top. When Charlie Kirk died, the reactions were instant. Memes, arguments, news alerts, conspiracy theories filling every feed. But what stopped me wasn't the extremes. It was the repetition. Over and over again, I kept seeing the same sentence. I didn't agree with him, but. Different voices, different sides, the exact same words. At first, it felt harmless, a quick disclaimer, a way of saying, don't mistake my sadness for support. But the more I scrolled, the more it struck me. This wasn't just one person's thought. It was a script, a line everyone seemed to know that they were supposed to say. And it made me wonder, where does that come from? Because in real life, at a funeral, no one stands up and starts with a disclaimer. Nobody says, I didn't agree with her, but before sharing a memory. That would feel strange. That would feel out of place. But online, it feels required. Why? Because our grief isn't private anymore. It's public. And when it's public, it has to be managed, curated, edited to survive the comment section. That's the damage. We don't just lose people, we lose the freedom to mourn them honestly. We feel pressured to package our humanity into 7 words just to make sure that strangers don't get the wrong idea. Social media was never built for balance. It doesn't reward nuance. It rewards volume. That's why when tragedy strikes, the loudest reactions rise to the top. On one side, there's celebration. And let's be honest, there's something deeply broken about that. The moment the news breaks, the jokes roll in, memes, TikToks, people firing off punchlines like it's just another trending topic, GIFs, sound effects, captions, and it spreads fast because the algorithm rewards mockery. Negativity travels further than compassion. One MIT study found that negative news spreads 70% faster than positive news. The crueler the post, the sharper the engagement spike. But think about what that means. Someone's family is in shock. Someone's friends are still processing a loss. And meanwhile, strangers are choreographing dances on their grave. It's not resistance. It's not accountability. It's cruelty dressed up as content. We tell ourselves it's harmless. He had deserved it. They had it coming. But really, it says more about us than about them. It shows how numb we've become, how desensitized we've become, how eager we are to turn death into a punchline just because it's trending, just because it's edgy. And on the other side, there's canonization, not just support, sainthood. Watch how fast it happens. Within hours, the timeline starts editing a legacy. The rough edges get sanded down. The controversies get renamed courage. The critics become haters. And every photo is suddenly a halo shot. Clips are handpicked to tell one story. Quotes are cropped so they sound like prophecies. Long, complicated years get reduced to a highlight reel that fits neatly in 30 seconds and a caption. Then, the rituals arrive. Profile frames, tribute threads, days named in someone's honor, merch, fundraisers, playlists. A whole identity forms around a person who can no longer agree or disagree with it. And the price of that is real. When we rewrite a life, we don't just honor the dead. We silence the ones who were wounded. We silence hard questions that still need asking. We freeze the narrative at the most flattering frame and call it respect. But respect isn't the same as hagiography.
Noun. Definition. A biography that idealizes its subject, often written to celebrate a saint or hero.
Yeah, I know. Big word. No, I didn't know it before this either. I asked ChatGPT, what's a word that means making someone sound like a saint? So don't be impressed. You can honor a human life without pretending that it was simple. You can grieve a person without greenlighting everything they said or did. You can show compassion without rewriting the record. The algorithm doesn't understand that. It rewards the cleanest story, the one with a clear hero or a clear villain. Nuance is bad for engagement, so myth wins. And the middle, where real mourning lives, disappears beneath a chorus of mockery on one side and hosannas on the other. neither reaction feels human. Both feel engineered. And that's exactly what the system is designed to do. Leaked internal research from Facebook shows that posts sparking anger got 5 times more engagement than other types of posts. Why? Because outrage keeps you scrolling, and scrolling keeps the money flowing. The platform doesn't care what you feel, only that you feel it strong enough to stay online. So the middle, the quiet, complicated truth of grief, gets drowned out. The algorithm pushes the extremes, the timeline becomes a stage, and suddenly our mourning isn't about mourning at all. It's about picking a side. It's about declaring loudly enough that you belong to one camp or the other. And if you don't, if you try to sit with the silence, with nuance, with questions that don't fit in a hashtag, your voice disappears. Because balance doesn't trend. Outrage does. There are things you were never meant to see. Not once, not in your entire life. But now, they don't just exist. They arrive uninvited, right on your feed, right on the same screen where you text your family, share memes, watch cooking videos. One swipe and suddenly you're face to face with death. Autoplay doesn't ask for permission. It demands your attention. It wasn't always like this. Not long ago, images like this were hidden, tucked away in backroom shops, passed around on bootleg VHS tapes, buried in corners of the internet that you had to dig to find. Now, they come looking for you. And when they land, they don't just vanish when you scroll away. They burn themselves into you. Psychologists call it vicarious trauma. Your brain reacts to violent images almost as if you were there. Your body floods with stress hormones. Your memory stores the moment. And you carry it with you, like a wound you didn't even ask for. I'll be honest, when Charlie Kirk died, I told my wife about this over text. We had a short conversation, and later that day she called me. But instead of talking about the news, she was chatting about something totally random. I was frustrated. How could she just move on? Didn't she understand how crazy this was? I carried that frustration the whole day until that night on my way home I realized something. She had been off of social media for exactly 1 week. She hadn't been bombarded with everyone's take, the endless stream of opinions, the arguments and the extremes. She only heard the news when I told her. She shared her thoughts, and she moved on. The next day after work, she came back to me and said, "Oh wow, this is a really big deal." Not because she was slow, not because she wasn't paying attention, but because she wasn't living under the weight of millions of voices. Her perspective wasn't wrong, it was unpolluted. And it showed me how deeply the feed had shaped mine. There's something else that unsettles me. It's not just the tragedy that ends up on our feeds. It's how quickly people turn it into content. When violence happens in public, some rush to help, others rush to flee. But more and more, the first instinct is to pull out a phone, hit record, and turn the camera on themselves. I share the same species as these people, the same bones, the same breath, and yet I can't recognize that as human. That's not compassion, that's sickness. Sociologists call it performative witnessing. Moments of horror stop being moments, they become opportunities to post, to build a following, to say, I was there, and the algorithm rewards it. The clips go viral, the accounts grow, the trauma spreads wider and wider, not because people want to help, but because everyone wants to be seen. It's a strange reversal. Death is supposed to silence us, to pull us out of the spotlight. But online, death becomes a stage light, and people, they rush forward, ready to perform. There was a time when grief looked different. When someone died, you didn't hear about it instantly. News traveled slowly, through phone calls, neighbors, newspapers. You didn't wake up to a headline and 1,000 opinions before breakfast. You heard it from a friend. You felt it in silence. You sat with it before the world told you what it meant. And mourning itself was slower. It lived in quiet rooms and handwritten notes and whispered prayers. There was space to process, to wrestle. Now, everything is instant, everything is public, and everything is permanent. Grief has no time to breathe. It has to be uploaded, captioned, explained. But here's what my wife reminded me. It doesn't have to stay this way. The moment she stepped off of social media for just a week, her perspective changed completely. She wasn't being swept along by the tide of hot takes. She could think, respond, and move on without carrying the weight of millions of voices. Maybe that's the way back. Not by abandoning the internet entirely, but by reclaiming silence, by stepping off the stage long enough to feel without performing, by remembering that grief doesn't need an audience. Because before all of this, that's how it was. And maybe that's how it could be again. We were never meant to live this way. Never meant to carry the weight of every headline, every tragedy, every outrage all at once. We were never meant to package our grief into 7 words, to edit our tears for strangers, to scroll past death as if it were just another clip. And yet, here we are, scrolling, reacting, performing, growing numb. But it doesn't have to stay this way. There's another option. We can choose silence. We can choose to log off, to sit in a room without cameras, to let ourselves feel without broadcasting. So please, protect your heart, guard your eyes. Don't let the timeline decide how you mourn, how you think, and how you live. Social media will keep offering poison disguised as entertainment, but you don't have to drink it. Step back, breathe. Remember what it means to just be a human.